The 24/7 trap is killing CEOs. The higher you climb as a CEO, the lonelier leadership becomes, and most executives never admit how dangerous that really is. Today you'll discover why the smartest CEOs in the world don't rely on hustle. They rely on peer support, time mastery, and surrounding themselves with game changers.
Canada, one of my clients, who was the CEO of Mr. Lube Canada, was a member of this 14-person peer learning group. And I had just finished doing a big strategy project with Ted and his team. And he said, come and talk to the guys about our story at Mr. Lube and how you helped us. And I think some of these other amazing CEOs might want to hire you. So I said, Ted, whatever I can do to support you. I did a presentation with that group, and that literally changed my life forever, because that group, they loved my presentation and they invited me to throw my name in the hat to become their forum chair. And I didn't even know what these peer groups were. Like, I literally said to them, I don't know what you guys do. I was happy to be a speaker. And so I started to ask them, what is the peer support group? What do you do when you meet for the day and what have you? And so they selected me as their chair. I accepted their invitation, and thank goodness I did, because that was the beginning of Macasio Forums, and that group still exists today. I'm no longer chairing that 14-person group, and we have a lot more diversity, and it's not all men, which it was 20 years ago when I first started. And so then I decided that peer support, the world needs more peer support, and that this is what I was going to dedicate the rest of my life to do, is that it didn't have to be lonely at the top, or at least for the CEOs that I was going to be working with.
So from your remarkable perspective, what are the biggest leadership challenges CEOs and executives face today?
Well, I often get asked, what do CEOs talk about in these confidential peer group meetings? And I always say the three biggest issues CEOs talk about are people, people, and people. It's business is about people, and it's still 20 years later, it's the toughest part of being a CEO. It could be challenges with boards, it could be challenges with business partners, challenges with hybrid work, challenges with succession planning, challenges with customers, suppliers. It's all about people, because that's what business is about. So those are the confidential topics that are discussed quite a bit. I mean, they talk about everything, business, family, and personal, but the people issues are the toughest challenges for most CEOs. And I would say that the biggest challenge is this mindset of, I don't have time, which is a big challenge, because of course, Dr. Al, you and I both know that we all have time. It's a matter of figuring out how to master our time so that we can have CEOs being successful with their careers and not sacrificing their health and their important personal and family relationships. So this relationship with time is a big, big challenge for CEOs.
Yeah, I've always said that no one has a time management problem. What they have is a priority management problem. They need to know how to do things themselves, know how to delegate, and know how to get things off their plate that they shouldn't be totally involved in.
Well, and I would say this, that I always talk about the three biggest time mastery mistakes that CEOs make. The first one is the 24/7 trap, where they have a mindset that they think they have to work 24/7. It's the only way they can be a successful CEO. And that's what causes a lot of burnout and people wanting to sell their businesses and transition out of CEO roles. The second is, to your point, I call it the do-it-yourself syndrome, where they feel like, well, I'm the only one good enough, smart enough, fast enough to get the job done, and so I'll just keep doing it. And the reality is they become a constraint for the business, because they're not letting go and finding other people that are masterful and can be doing the work much better. And then the third one is showing up in a negative emotional state, because there's so much uncertainty, especially in today's world. It's the tariffs, it's the AI disruption, it's political and financial and all these things. And so if they don't learn how to master their emotions, then they waste a lot of time because we make really bad decisions when we're in a negative emotional state. So it's those three big things that get in the way of CEOs. I call it time mastery. We live in an exponential change world. It's not about managing time. It's about mastering where you're going to spend your 100 waking hours a week to make the biggest contribution.
You and I have seen many crises throughout our lifetime. In 2008, there was a banking crisis, and the world was going to end tomorrow. Now, there was a subgroup of people, of bankers, that did very well. And they were the ones that looked at this in a different light. They didn't look at this as a threat. They looked at it positively. They looked at this as a potential opportunity. And at the end of the crisis, they were miles ahead of the competition.
Well, I started Macasio Forums in 2005, and that was just before we called it the dismal economy hit. And I can remember literally CEOs coming to their peer group meetings, and they were in tears because they had to make really tough decisions about downsizing, and it was just heartbreaking to watch them go through that. And at the same time, when the going gets tough, that's exactly why CEOs need to surround themselves with other people going through exactly the same things. So whether it's bankers, whether it's CEOs, who are the people that get through challenging times like we're in today? It's people that have a mindset of, I don't have to suck it up and do it all myself. I really need to surround myself. We call them game changers at Macasio Forums. People that are going through the same issues, challenges, so we can solve problems together, which is what we're doing with CEOs today in our McKay community, is bringing them together so they can work together on the whole tariff challenges. And then it's also about making sure that they have strong advisory boards, making sure they have coaches and advisors to help them through the journey, and a strong top team. Regardless of what's happening in the external environment, we don't have control over that. We do have control over surrounding ourselves with people that can help us through whatever circumstances are happening externally.
I think that's important. You have to realize what you can control and what you can't. And therein lies the solution to problems, is the things you can control, and you have to wield it well.
And we can control, and this is what I say to our entire McKay community, we can control the big dreams we have for making a big contribution in all areas of our lives. And we literally have this passion mastery tool where we get CEOs to step into the future and look back and celebrate what are all the things they've accomplished, business, family, and personal. We have total control over the intentions we set in terms of how we want to spend our time and how do we make the biggest contribution. That we have told, no one can take that away from us. And then it's a matter of finding people so that you can get help to be able to accomplish whatever goals that you set for yourself.
I think many CEOs have it wrong. They think they live to work. They should work to live.
Well, that's the 24/7 trap. And oftentimes, at least I've been coaching the thousands of CEOs that I've worked with over 20 years. We're celebrating our 20-year anniversary this year. It's like this mindset of, well, I have to work 24/7. It's the only way I can be successful. And once they shift that mindset to realize, well, no, actually, if you take time to take care of your health and work out and self-care, if you take time to do the date nights with your spouse, if you take time to spend with your kids and your family, if you take time to do your volunteer, if you put all of that in the calendar, and then you realize, okay, then you have X amount of time per week to do this thing called work. You're going to be a lot more successful for the long term, because you're not sacrificing your health and your important personal and family relationships in order to be successful. And most people don't see it that way. They see it as, well, I'll try to fit in some exercise. I'll try to make time to go see my doctor for my annual health check. I'll try to spend time. It's got to be flipped around in order for every person to be a lot more productive and a lot more passionate about the work that they do and about the people that they're surrounding themselves with.
Nancy, we're going to take a brief commercial break, but friends, come right back, because Nancy McKay, who is founder and CEO of McKay CEO Forums, is going to share more with us. Friends, I have Nancy McKay, the founder and CEO of McKay CEO Forums, an organization that provides the highest impact by intensive peer support groups for over 1,000 CEOs, executives, and business owners across Canada and around the world. Nancy, McKay CEO Forums has achieved a remarkable 708% ROI. What are the key factors that contribute to this success?
Well, the key factor, the number one factor, is people who are lifelong learners commit to surrounding themselves with their peers, so that, and I always say this, we have a very humble culture at McKay CEO Forums. No one's any better than anyone else. So when a CEO attends a confidential peer group meeting, they're there because they are lifelong learners, and that they also want to contribute to the success of others, and they're people who take action. So Dr. Al, when you put 14 CEOs from all different industries in a non-compete confidential environment in order to be able to support each other, then the ROI is huge. They help each other solve problems. They help each other maximize their best opportunities. They dramatically expand their business networks. So there's a lot of learning and growth, and also business that gets done when people build trust with the people that are in their peer support group. So there's a huge ROI, and that's just from joining a group. We have a whole bunch of events and learning opportunities beyond just joining a peer group that really and one of my huge goals, even after 20 years of doing this work, is to just raise awareness. We literally have 40,000 CEOs, executives, and business owners in Canada that don't even know that peer support exists. And so they're missing out on a competitive advantage, which is surrounding themselves with other successful CEOs. So we really need to increase our productivity by raising awareness that you don't have to just do it yourself, and it doesn't have to be lonely at the top.
Napoleon Hill wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, and one of his fulcrums or primary principles in that book was to form a mastermind group. Isn't this what you've done? Form a mastermind group?
Yes, that's exactly what we've done, except CEOs, again, we're all about helping them master their time. We form best fit CEO groups. So they don't have to try to figure out who should I be sitting around the table with, because we've been doing this for 20 years, and we have peer groups for billion-dollar-plus company CEOs, peer groups for smaller entrepreneurial, peer groups for executives. So having a mastermind that is carefully selected for every single CEO is really what the big competitive advantage is, when you can really sit around the table with people that are your peers, and you don't have to worry about figuring out how to do that and put the energy into that. You can just focus totally on growing your business.
How do you measure the effectiveness of peer learning and support in improving business performance?
Well, we hired the Canadian ROI Institute to do exactly that, because they actually have a methodology of how to measure the effectiveness and impact on, for example, enhancing customer experience, enhancing productivity of employees, ensuring that the growth objectives of the company are being led. So our approach has been having an external party, the ROI Institute of Canada, interview our members and survey our members so that they can declare how they measure the success of their participation in a peer group.
Okay, that's fascinating, and I think it's great that we can measure it. Now, you've probably heard of Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. What are the habits of highly effective CEOs?
Well, that's a big question to answer. And yes, I've read Covey's book. And as you know, we just launched our I Don't Have Time, the 3 biggest mistakes, time master mistakes CEOs make. And we talk about 5 key strategies to help CEOs be as effective as possible. And the first one is we talk about taking control of their wheel of life so that they're not just focused on work. The second one is learning how to park their egos, because that's a big time waster. We talk about mental toughness. How do you keep your head straight and focus on success, especially when the external environment is very challenging? We also cover strategies related to, we call it the happiness formula, because when we're in a positive emotional state, we make great decisions and we're very productive. So those are some of the key strategies. And also, finally, building on strengths, because most people aren't aware and don't spend enough time really understanding what are their strengths, so that they're spending most of their time in their areas of strength and getting stuff off their plate that they should not be doing because there's someone else that's masterful that could be doing that work for them. So those are some of the key strategies we talk about for CEOs.
Yeah, it's very important, this happiness principle. In fact, I think it was Sean Acorn that showed in one of his books how important happiness is in even playing a Tetris game for its success. People who are happier were much better at it than people that were not.
Well, and my latest favorite book on the happiness formula, I call it, is Mo Gadot's book, which is called Solve for Happiness. And he was the former Google top executive, and unfortunately his son passed away at a very young age. I think he was 18 years old. And then he dedicated his career to solve for happiness. And his book is just brilliant. And there's many books on happiness is a choice and it's a state of being. And it's part of how do we every day focus on how do we stay in a positive emotional state so that we can be the best version of ourselves and make the biggest contribution to the people around us.
In fact, in 3 weeks, I'll be speaking at a happiness conference in Costa Rica as one of the keynote speakers. Very honored to have that privilege of doing so.
That's great. That sounds like a very inspiring conference and a wonderful location.
Yeah. So if you could give one piece of advice to an inspiring entrepreneur or executive, what would that be?
The number one piece of advice is surround yourself with game changers on your board, on your top team, as your external advisors, obviously peer support. The world needs more peer support. It doesn't have to be lonely at the top. You don't have to suffer. You can reach out to people and get help. And that's how we all really show up as the best version of ourselves, knowing that we have other people that are cheering us on and helping us have greater confidence and courage to make the biggest contribution.
What would your response be to somebody who says, yes, I would love to bring people like this on, but I'm threatened by them?
We are doing a virtual event on March 12th at McCasey Forums on ego mastery. And again, this is one of the key critical leadership tools that we give to all of our McKay community. It's like we have to learn how to park our egos. Our egos want us to look good and be right and be perfect and judge other people. You know what? When we just park our egos, we realize that we just need to surround ourselves with people that can help us. And we have to be able to let go of being perfect and having to have all the answers. In fact, that's the opposite of what it's all about. It's not about it's all about CEOs having all the answers. It's about surrounding themselves with people that are better, smarter, faster, and can really help organizations thrive and survive.
Nancy, we're almost at the end of our time together. Can you tell people how they can get in touch with McKay CEO Forums, and how can they find out more about this fascinating group?
Thank you, Dr. Al. Anyone interested in learning more about McKay CEO Forums and joining a peer support group in Canada, they can go to our website, which is mckayceoforums.com. And I'm happy for people to reach out to me personally at nancy@mckayceoforums.com.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us out of your beautiful time in Phoenix, Scottsdale area and just educating the world out there about this amazing group you've put together.
Thank you, Dr. Al. It's such a privilege to be here, and hope that I've supported you on your journey to making our world a more inspiring world.
Thank you. And friends, if you would like to know more about how to live a fantastic life, go to my website, drallenlycka.com. That's DRALLEN, Lycka, L-Y as in yellow, CKA.com. And make sure you sign up for my Golden Pearls. One will come to your mailbox each and every week so that you can have a fantastic life like Nancy McKay and I have. Bye for now, and have a fantastic day.
If this resonated with you, I offer a limited number of free clarity calls each month. It's a chance to talk through what you're facing and get some clarity on your next move. Links below if you want to connect.